The city was alive with noise, with cars rushing past, people walking quickly to work, and the hum of daily life. In the middle of all this, a young man walked proudly in his brand-new police uniform. His boots were polished, his badge shined under the sun, and his chest was full of pride. He was finally a cop. For years, he had dreamed of this moment, and now it was real. He thought the badge on his chest made him powerful, and that people would look at him differently. The rookie had just come out of the academy. He had learned the rules, the discipline, and the training. But in his heart, something had already begun to change. He wasn't thinking about service or duty. He wasn't thinking about protecting people or earning their trust. Instead, he thought about how much power came with the uniform. He looked at himself in shop windows as he passed by, admiring how official he looked. He imagined people whispering about him, maybe even fearing him. That thought gave him a strange thrill. When he walked into his neighborhood, he noticed how people stared at him. Some gave polite nods, others avoided eye contact. And a few even smiled with pride, happy to see someone from their community rise into the ranks of law enforcement. But the rookie didn't see admiration. He only saw power. He believed every look was a sign of his authority. Every nod, a surrender to his badge. The first time he flashed his badge to strangers, he felt untouchable. It was as if the small piece of metal had turned him into something larger than life. No one could question him, he thought, because he was the law now. He felt above ordinary people, above rules, even above mistakes. The more he walked the streets, the more this feeling grew inside him. People in his area started whispering. They noticed how the young officer carried himself. He didn't smile anymore like he used to. He didn't greet the elders with respect as before. Instead, he carried himself with his chin high, his chest out, as though he was already a seasoned commander. He's changed, some said. The badge has gone to his head. Others defended him, saying he was just young, still learning, maybe just excited. But deep inside, many could see the difference. Arrogance had already taken root. The rookie loved to test his authority. He would stop people for small things: jaywalking, standing in the wrong place, or talking too loudly in public. He would scold them as if they had committed big crimes. Some people laughed nervously, others apologized quickly. The rookie enjoyed it all. He loved seeing them bend to his words. Each time someone obeyed him, he felt stronger, like the badge gave him control over the entire world. At night, when he returned home, he stood in front of the mirror. He removed his cap slowly, then polished his badge, staring at his reflection. In his mind, he wasn't a rookie anymore. He was already a man of power. He even practiced his walk, his serious face, and the way he would talk down to others in a low, commanding tone. He wanted to look and sound like someone people feared. But what he didn't realize was that people were beginning to lose respect for him. They saw through the pride and arrogance. They saw a young man who confused power with respect, authority with fear. They whispered about him in shops, in small tea stalls, and on the corners of the streets. "He's forgotten why he became a cop," an old man said one evening. "This will not end well for him." Still, the rookie felt unstoppable. Every time he touched the badge, he felt it was a shield that would protect him from mistakes, criticism, or consequences. To him, it wasn't just a badge, it was a crown. He had convinced himself that nothing could touch him. No one could bring him down, and no force could challenge him. He had risen quickly, not in rank, but in arrogance. The streets were now his stage, and he played the role of the powerful cop with great pride. But beneath the surface, trouble was waiting for him. Because sooner or later, arrogance always meets reality. And reality, unlike people, does not bow to a badge. The rookie's badge had begun to feel like a weapon in his pocket. Each morning, when he pinned it to his chest, his confidence grew, but so did the shadow of arrogance behind his smile. To him, the streets were not filled with citizens to protect. They were filled with people to control. And control, he thought, was his new power. At first, it began with small things. A man crossing the road where he shouldn't. A teenager laughing too loudly at night. A street vendor setting up a cart without permission. These were not crimes, not even close, but the rookie treated them like serious offenses. He would step forward, hand resting on his belt, voice heavy with command, and say, "Show some respect. I'm the law here." People, surprised and confused, often gave in quickly. They didn't want trouble. They didn't want to test the young officer. The rookie loved those moments. He loved watching the fear in their eyes, the way their smiles faded, the way their laughter died out. To him, it was proof that he was more than a man, he was untouchable. Each surrender was like fuel to his pride, but pride has a way of growing restless. Soon, stopping jaywalkers and scolding vendors wasn't enough. He wanted more. He started roaming neighborhoods where he wasn't assigned, looking for opportunities to show his strength. He stopped young boys on bicycles and demanded they explain where they were going. He shouted at couples walking in the park after sunset, warning them to leave or face trouble. He was not protecting anyone, he was playing a game. One where the rules bent to his ego. Some people complained quietly among themselves. "This rookie is out of control," said a shopkeeper after being forced to shut down early one night. "He thinks we are criminals just for living." Others were too afraid to speak. After all, who would dare challenge the badge? The rookie felt no guilt. In fact, the more people obeyed, the more powerful he felt. He believed he was carving out his place in the city as a figure of fear. "If they fear me, they'll respect me," he told himself. Ignoring the truth that fear and respect are not the same. Then came the first time he crossed a dangerous line. He stopped a man selling fruit by the roadside. The man had no license, but he was poor, trying to feed his children. The rookie didn't care. He shouted at him, threw his basket to the ground, and left him to gather the pieces. People nearby watched, some angry, some silent. The fruit seller's daughter stood there, tears running down her cheeks. She whispered, "One day, someone will stand against you." The rookie only smirked. But arrogance doesn't stop growing once it starts. Every day he pushed harder. He demanded free meals from vendors, pretending it was police business. He warned young men not to stand in groups, as if friendship itself was a crime. He treated every rule as if he alone wrote it. And the city began to feel heavier under his watch. The other officers noticed too. Some of the older cops shook their heads. "He's going too far," one muttered in the station. "If he keeps this up, he'll bring shame on all of us." But no one stopped him. He was still just a rookie, still learning, they said. Maybe he would grow out of it. The rookie, however, believed he was untouchable. He believed no one had the courage to challenge him. Each night, as he polished his badge, he whispered to himself, "This makes me strong. This keeps me safe." He didn't know that every abuse, every small cruelty was building a silent case against him. People were watching. People were remembering. And among those people was someone who would not forgive, someone who would not bend. She was quiet for now. But her patience would become the storm that ended his reign of arrogance. The rookie had no idea that his called power was about to be tested. He had ruled the streets with fear, but soon he would learn that the courtroom is not the same as the street. In court, the badge cannot silence the truth, and truth was already walking toward him. Step by step, in the form of a woman he should never have underestimated. The rookie had grown bold, too bold for his own good. Each day, he strutted across the streets as if the world belonged to him. His badge was no longer just a symbol of duty, it had become a crown on his chest. He believed no one could question him, no one could stop him. But arrogance, like a flame, always burns brightest just before it dies. One afternoon, the rookie spotted a woman walking out of a small shop. She was carrying a bag, dressed in simple clothes, and moved with quiet confidence. To him, she looked ordinary. But the rookie had stopped seeing people as human. To him, everyone was either a chance to show power or a threat to his pride. He noticed her didn't look at him, didn't lower her eyes, didn't show fear. That, in his mind, was disrespect. He stepped in front of her. "Where are you going?" he demanded, his voice sharp. She raised her eyebrows, surprised, but kept calm. "Home," she replied, her voice steady, without fear. The rookie didn't like it. He wasn't used to calm answers. He was used to people stuttering, apologizing, bowing their heads. He pressed harder. "Show me what's in your bag," he ordered. She frowned. "Why?" "Did I do something wrong?" she asked. Her tone was polite but firm. That firmness struck him like a challenge. In his pride, he decided she was trouble, and trouble had to be crushed. He grabbed her arm and said, "You'll answer in court." The crowd gasped. Some whispered she didn't do anything. Others shook their heads in silence. The woman didn't resist. She didn't scream. She looked straight at him, her eyes steady, her face unshaken. "All right," she said softly. "Court it is." Those words should have made him pause. But the rookie, drunk on pride, thought he had already won. To him, dragging someone into court was a show of ultimate power. He imagined standing tall before the judge, badge gleaming, and the woman bowing her head in shame. He thought people would whisper, "This cop is fearless. He controls everyone." But what he didn't know was who she really was. This woman was not weak, nor ordinary. She was someone with strength hidden beneath her calmness. She was someone who knew the system better than he did. She was someone with a past that had taught her how to fight back with dignity and proof, not fear. That night, the rookie boasted to his fellow officers, "I caught a disrespectful woman today. Tomorrow, she'll learn what happens when you test me." Some laughed, some shook their heads, but none warned him. They didn't realize he had set fire to his own path. Meanwhile, the woman prepared. She wasn't afraid because she had truth on her side. She collected receipts, witnesses, and every small detail of the incident. She knew the law. She knew her rights. She knew how arrogance collapses when faced with evidence. The city buzzed with whispers. "Did you hear? The rookie dragged the wrong woman to court." Some laughed, others waited. Many hoped justice would be served at last. For too long, people had suffered his loud commands and unnecessary stops. They wanted to see if someone finally had the courage to break his pride. The rookie slept peacefully, dreaming of victory. In his dreams, he was untouchable, unstoppable, and feared by all. He didn't see the storm gathering around him, the storm that wore the face of the very woman he had mocked. The next morning, the courtroom doors opened. People filled the benches, curious to see what would happen. On one side, the rookie entered, chin raised high, badge shining, confidence overflowing. On the other side, the woman walked in calmly, holding a folder in her hand. She didn't look angry. She didn't look afraid. She looked ready. The rookie smirked. To him, this was just another game. Another chance to prove his badge made him king. But little did he know, by dragging this woman into court, he had invited his own downfall. The battle had shifted from the streets to the courtroom, and here, his arrogance would no longer protect him. The wrong woman had been chosen, and the rookie's life was about to change forever. The courtroom was buzzing with low whispers. Wooden benches creaked as people shifted, waiting for the session to begin. Everyone had come to see the young officer who thought his badge made him untouchable. He walked in with his chest puffed out, uniform neat, and a smirk playing on his lips. His boots clicked loudly against the floor, each step echoing with arrogance. To him, this was not just a hearing, it was his stage. Across the room, the woman entered quietly. She didn't rush, she didn't falter. Her steps were calm, her face unreadable, and her eyes steady. She carried a simple folder under her arm, nothing more. The rookie noticed her, and for a moment he felt annoyed. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't trembling like others usually did. He thought to himself, she's still pretending. But when the judge speaks, she'll break. The judge entered, and the room stood in silence. The rookie straightened his shoulders, ready to shine. He imagined the judge nodding in his favor. Imagined the woman being scolded. Imagined himself leaving with applause. But arrogance makes a man blind, and he didn't see the trap he had walked into. The case began. The rookie spoke first. His words were sharp, filled with confidence. He told the judge that the woman had disrespected him, that she had refused to obey lawful orders. He painted himself as the hero, the guardian of rules, the man protecting order. He expected the courtroom to nod in agreement, to side with the badge. But when the woman spoke, everything changed. Her voice was calm, clear, and steady. She didn't shout. She didn't tremble. She simply laid out facts, one after another. She told the judge what happened on the street, how she was stopped without reason, how she was treated unfairly. And then she opened her folder. Inside were receipts proving her innocence, names of witnesses who had seen everything, even a shopkeeper willing to testify. She had gathered more in one night than the rookie had in his entire case. The courtroom leaned forward, listening closely. Every detail she revealed chipped away at his proud image. The rookie shifted uncomfortably. He tried to interrupt her, tried to raise his voice, but the judge silenced him with a look. For the first time, he felt small in his uniform. His words, once sharp and commanding, now sounded weak. His badge, once heavy with power, now felt like a piece of metal dragging him down. The woman didn't stop there. She revealed more how he had treated others in the community, how he had abused his position for pride, how he had mistaken fear for respect. People in the courtroom nodded, whispering to one another. Some even raised their hands to speak, ready to share their own stories of his arrogance. The rookie's face burned red. His heart raced. He had walked into court expecting to dominate, but instead he was cornered. Every word she spoke was like a mirror, showing the truth he had tried to hide. He looked at the judge, hoping for rescue, but the judge's eyes were hard, cold, and full of disappointment. The clash grew heavier. On one side, the rookie fought with pride, raising his voice, insisting on his power. On the other side, the woman fought with truth, steady and unshaken. The more he shouted, the calmer she became. The more he tried to flex authority, the more the court saw through him. Finally, the judge leaned forward, voice stern. "This badge," the judge said, pointing at the rookie's chest, "is not a shield for arrogance. It is not a crown. It is a duty. And you, young officer, have forgotten what that means." The words struck like thunder. The rookie felt his legs weaken. The courtroom buzzed with approval, whispers rising like waves. He looked around and saw no support, no admiration, only eyes watching his downfall, for the first time since he put on the uniform. The rookie felt fear not of losing a case, but of losing the illusion he had built around himself. The woman stood silently, her folder closed, her eyes calm. She didn't need to celebrate. The truth had spoken for her. The courtroom clash was over, and the rookie realized, too late, that the woman he thought was ordinary had destroyed the wall of pride he had built. His badge had not saved him. His words had not saved him. Nothing could shield him now from the weight of truth. The courtroom was silent, yet the silence was heavy, almost alive. The rookie stood there, sweat forming on his forehead, his arrogance slipping away like sand through fingers. For the first time, he could not hide behind his uniform. For the first time, his badge felt like nothing more than a shiny piece of metal. The woman's calm voice broke the silence again. She didn't shout. She didn't accuse with anger. She simply revealed. One paper after another, one witness after another, she painted a picture of who this rookie really was. It was not the picture of a hero, not the protector of justice he claimed to be. It was the picture of a boy who mistook fear for respect, who abused the power of a uniform because he thought it made him untouchable. The judge listened carefully as she read aloud testimonies from people he had harassed. A fruit seller, an old woman, even a young boy on a bicycle, they all had stories of being stopped, questioned, or humiliated for no reason. The courtroom murmured as the list grew longer. Each new story felt like another stone tied to the rookie's chest, pulling him deeper into the waters of shame. The rookie tried to defend himself. His words came fast, stumbling, desperate. They are lying. They don't respect the law. They don't understand authority. His voice cracked under pressure. He slammed his hand against the table, but the sound no longer frightened anyone. The power he once carried with his voice was gone. The people saw through him now. The woman didn't flinch. She opened the next page of her folder and presented evidence times, dates, even written complaints that had been ignored. Suddenly, the courtroom realized that this was not an isolated act. This was a pattern. The rookie had left a trail of arrogance behind him, and now every step was being exposed in the light. The judge's face darkened. "Officer," he said sternly, "your badge was meant to protect the innocent, not harm them. These accounts, if true, show a grave misuse of authority." The rookie's heart pounded. His ears buzzed. He felt as though the walls of the courtroom were closing in. He looked around for support, for even one friendly face, but all he saw were eyes filled with anger, disappointment, or pity. The very community he thought he controlled was standing against him. Then the woman spoke again, her words sharp but calm. "Respect cannot be forced. Fear is not the same as honor. A badge cannot hide a man's true character. And today, his true character is here for everyone to see." The courtroom erupted in murmurs, louder this time, voices rising like waves against the rookie. He wanted to shout, wanted to silence them, but his voice no longer carried weight. The more he tried to speak, the more hollow his words sounded. He remembered the nights he polished his badge, whispering to himself that it made him strong. He remembered the smirks, the threats, the moments he pushed people around because he thought they were weak. And now, every one of those memories came back not as victories, but as proof of his downfall. The judge asked for order in the court, and the murmurs fell. All eyes returned to the rookie. For the first time since he joined the force, he felt naked in his uniform. The badge no longer shined. It mocked him, reflecting the light of truth he could not escape. The woman closed her folder gently, as if her work was done. She didn't need to say more. The truth was laid bare, and the court had seen enough. The rookie stood frozen, his lips dry, his pride shattered. The silence returned, but it was different now. It was the silence of judgment. The silence before a fall. He realized something he had never understood before. Power without respect is nothing. Authority without justice is nothing. And a badge without honor is nothing. The truth had been revealed, and it was heavier than any punishment the court could give. It was the weight of shame, the collapse of pride, the death of arrogance. The rookie had built his world on fear, and in this courtroom, fear had no place. The people whispered a final word, one that echoed in his mind, exposed. And he knew they were right. Asterisk. The gavel struck the desk, sharp and final, and the courtroom went silent. The rookie stood, frozen, his throat dry, his hands trembling ever so slightly. He had entered this place with his chin high, full of pride, but now he felt smaller than ever before. His badge, once polished with care, now felt like a heavy stone dragging his chest down. The judge's words cut deep. This court finds that officer's conduct was reckless, abusive, and dishonorable. Authority is not a toy. It is not a weapon. This city will not tolerate arrogance parading as law. Each sentence landed like a hammer. The rookie flinched with every word, his face pale. His lips pressed tightly together as if trying to hold back the shame. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Some faces showed relief, others satisfaction. A few people smiled faintly, not out of cruelty, but out of justice finally being seen. For them, it was not just his trial, it was the trial of every arrogant act he had carried out on the streets. Then came the final blow. Effective immediately, the judge declared, "This officer is suspended from duty pending further investigation." The badge is stripped until further notice. The rookie's world collapsed in that moment. His hand instinctively went to his chest, touching the badge as if to protect it, but it was useless. An officer from the back walked forward and demanded it. Slowly, with shaky fingers, the rookie unclipped the shining symbol from his uniform. He held it in his palm for one last moment, staring at it as if it could somehow save him, as if it still held magic. But it in single quotes, when he placed it on the table, it no longer gleamed. It looked small, ordinary, meaningless. The rookie realized with horror that all along it had only been metal. The power had never been in the badge, it had always been in how people chose to see him. And now they saw him for what he was, a boy lost in pride, a man undone by arrogance. The woman who had stood against him remained calm. She didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She simply gathered her folder and nodded politely to the judge. Her silence spoke louder than any victory dance. She had not fought to humiliate him. She had fought for justice. And that difference made her stronger than he had ever been. The rookie lowered his head as whispers filled the air. The same community that once avoided his gaze now stared at him openly. Their fear was gone, replaced by disappointment. The same eyes that once bowed before his badge now looked at him with judgment. Some even with pity. He had wanted respect, but all he had earned was shame as he left the courtroom. The weight of his downfall pressed against him harder with every step. His uniform no longer felt proud. It felt like a costume that didn't fit, a role he was never ready to play. The corridors echoed with his footsteps, but gone was the arrogance in his stride. Each step felt heavy, like he was walking away from everything he thought he was. Outside, the air felt colder. The sky seemed grayer. He pulled at his collar, but nothing could ease the heat of humiliation burning in his face. He remembered the people he had scolded, the vendors he had mocked, the children he had frightened. Each memory cut into him like a blade. He had built his world on pride, and now pride was the very thing that destroyed him. In the distance, he heard laughter. Not cruel laughter, but the kind that reminded him the city had moved on without him. Life went on. The streets didn't need him. He was not as important as he believed. For the first time, the rookie realized he was not invincible. He was human, flawed, fragile, and now broken. That night, he sat alone in his room. The mirror that once showed him a proud officer now reflected a man with hollow eyes. He touched his empty chest where the badge once hung. His hand lingered there, but there was nothing left to hold. His power was gone. His arrogance had crumbled. And all that remained was silence. The fall of the rookie was complete. But in that silence, something stirred, perhaps regret, perhaps shame. Or perhaps the faint beginning of a lesson he had refused to learn until it was too late. The courtroom emptied slowly. Footsteps echoing against the marble floor as people whispered to each other. They had seen something rare that day: justice standing taller than arrogance. In the center of it all was the woman, the one who had faced the rookie without fear. She didn't raise her hands in triumph, didn't shout about her victory. Instead, she quietly gathered her papers, held them close to her chest, and walked with dignity. People watched her with respect. Some nodded at her as she passed, others whispered her name softly. She had become a symbol in that moment, not just of her own strength, but of the strength every ordinary person carries when they refuse to bow to injustice. Unlike the rookie, she didn't need a badge to command respect. Her truth, her courage, and her calm were enough. Outside the courthouse, the sunlight touched her face as she stepped down the wide stone steps. A small group of people who had been wronged by the rookie approached her. The fruit seller with rough hands, the old woman who once had been scolded, even the young boy who had been stopped on his bicycle, all of them came forward. They didn't speak much. Some simply said thank you. Others just pressed their palms together or bowed their heads. Their eyes said more than words ever could. She smiled gently. Not a smile of pride, but one of reassurance, as if to say, "This wasn't just my fight, was for all of us." The rookie watched from a distance. He stood in the shadow of the courthouse, his uniform suddenly feeling like borrowed clothes. He saw how people gathered around her, how respect flowed toward her without demand, without fear. For the first time, he understood the difference. He had chased fear, thinking it was respect. She had shown him the truth. Respect is earned, not forced. The woman didn't look at him with anger or revenge. As her eyes briefly met his, there was no cruelty there, only something deeper. A silent reminder that power without justice will always collapse. That truth doesn't need to scream to be heard. That dignity is stronger than arrogance. She walked away slowly, her steps steady, her head held high. Every step she took felt like a statement to the city. No badge, no rank, no false pride can stand against truth. The people followed her with their eyes, carrying the lesson with them. The rookie, left behind, felt the emptiness of his fall. But inside that emptiness was something near reflection. He had been defeated, but the woman had not crushed him with hate. She had simply shown him the mirror. And though shame burned in him, a small part of him realized this was a chance. Perhaps his fall could also be the start of change. The city remembered the case for years. They remembered the rookie who thought himself invincible, and the woman who proved him wrong without raising her voice. Her story spread beyond the courthouse walls, told in tea shops, on buses, in quiet conversations. It became a warning to those who abused authority and a comfort to those who felt powerless. And the woman? She went back to her life, back to her simple routines. She didn't seek fame or reward. She didn't need recognition. Her victory wasn't about glory, it was about restoring balance. About reminding everyone that truth has its own power. Silent but unstoppable. In the end, the rookie's arrogance had built his downfall. But the woman's dignity had built her victory. She didn't just win a case. She restored hope. She reminded an entire city that no crown, no badge, no uniform can ever rise above justice. And that was her greatest triumph, walking away not as a conqueror, but as a quiet symbol of truth.